elephant's trunk is not a nose. Or it is, but it is also a hand, a tool, and a chemical laboratory with over 40,000 individual muscles. At its tip, two prehensile finger-like appendages can pick up a single blade of grass. When this extraordinarily sensitive instrument touches the bone of a deceased relative, it is not a simple gesture. It is an act of intense investigation. The texture, the weight, the lingering scent molecules are all being processed. This is not just seeing. It is a form of tactile reading, gathering data from the last physical remnant of a life. And what happens to that data? Some of it travels to a structure you also possess, but rarely use, the vomeronasal organ, or Jacobson's organ. By pressing the tip of its trunk to the roof of its mouth, an elephant transfers complex scent molecules directly to this secondary olfactory system. It's a way to taste the air, to analyze chemical signals that aren't airborne. This isn't just smelling decay. It could be identifying the specific hormonal markers of fear or stress that lingered on the individual at the time of death. These are chemical memories, sampled years after the fact. But how do they find these exact locations? Sometimes a decade later, in a vast and changing landscape. An elephant's brain is a master cartographer. Their hippocampus, a region critical for spatial memory, is proportionally massive. They don't just remember watering holes and feeding grounds, they remember places of social significance. Death sites become landmarks. This suggests their mental maps aren't just navigational, they're emotional. Certain coordinates on the savanna are tagged not with water here, but with loss here. And they will deviate from migration routes, sometimes by kilometers, just to visit these specific, somber locations. Upon arrival, the investigation often transitions into a peculiar form of construction. Elephants have been observed meticulously covering carcasses with soil, palm fronds, and branches broken from nearby trees. They will spend hours on this. The question is, why? One hypothesis is practical. Covering the body masks the scent from scavengers. But they do this even with skeletons that have been picked clean, long after any predator would be interested. This behavior suggests something beyond pragmatism. Is it a gesture, an act of care that mirrors how they might nudge a sick or sleeping calf? And then there is the sound, or rather, the lack of it. A herd of elephants, normally a symphony of rumbles, trumpets, and the constant crunch of vegetation, can fall into a profound, coordinated silence around a body. This isn't just incidental quiet. For a species that communicates over vast distances using low-frequency infrasound vibrations we feel more than hear, silence is a powerful, active signal. It is the communal stopping of a constant conversation. It's a behavioral state change that ripples through the entire group, a shared focus that is as communicative as any sound they could make. This silence is often punctuated, not by random noise, but by specific, resonant vocalizations. Low-frequency rumbles, sometimes in a chorus, will emanate from the group. Researchers using acoustic analysis have found these are not simply generic sounds of distress. They have harmonic structures, suggesting a more complex function than just an emotional outburst. Are they trying to communicate with the deceased? Are they attempting to elicit a response? Or is this a social signal, a way of synchronizing the emotional state of the living members of the herd, reinforcing bonds in the face of a disruption to their social network? This level of social and emotional complexity forces us to ask a more fundamental question. What is an elephant's concept of self? A classic test for self-awareness is the mirror test. An animal is discreetly marked with a spot of paint on a part of its body it can only see in a reflection. If it uses the mirror to touch or investigate the spot on its own body, it demonstrates a recognition that the reflection is me. Along with great apes and dolphins, elephants are one of the few species to pass this test. They understand that the image in the mirror is not another elephant, it is them. And this recognition of self is the cognitive gateway to considering the absence of self. But does an awareness of self translate to an awareness of death's finality? When elephants gently nudge a fallen companion or try to lift them with their tusks, are they simply confused? Or are they acting on a hope that contradicts a dawning, terrible understanding? It's impossible to know. But their behavior is distinct from how they treat a sleeping elephant. They seem to be responding to a fundamental change in state. The question is whether they grasp the permanence of that change. Comprehending that a dynamic, social being has become a static object is a profound cognitive leap. The biological hardware for this leap certainly seems to be there. The elephant brain is a marvel, weighing over 5 kilograms, with a temporal lobe so large and convoluted it rivals our own. And deep within their cortex, they possess a special class of large nerve cells called spindle neurons. In humans, these von Economo neurons are linked to social awareness, empathy, and our ability to process complex emotions rapidly. They are thought to be the brain's circuitry for intuition, for understanding another's emotional state. Finding them in elephants suggests a similar capacity for deep, empathetic connection, the very foundation of what we would call grieving. Of course, we must be cautious about projecting human emotion onto these behaviors. A less sentimental, but equally fascinating, explanation views this through the lens of social information. An elephant herd is a network built on decades of accumulated knowledge, most of it stored in the mind of the matriarch. Her death is not just a personal loss, it is like a library burning down. The intense interest in her remains could be a frantic search for information. What happened? Is there a threat here? And the subsequent rituals, a process of re-establishing social hierarchy and calming the frayed nerves of a network that has just lost its central node. Ultimately, we are left with an observation that resists simple explanation. It is not an either-or scenario. These behaviors are likely a complex tapestry woven from memory, sensory investigation, neurological predisposition, and social necessity. The elephant's interaction with its dead does not provide us with a clear answer about animal consciousness. Instead, it presents a profound and unsettling question. It forces us to confront the possibility that the line between instinct and ritual, between an awareness of absence and a comprehension of mortality, is far more blurry than we have ever been comfortable admitting.
Monotony has grown fast. Nearly 2,700 people have watched in the last few weeks, yet less than 0.03% are subscribed. It would mean a lot if you joined by hitting subscribe. And again, thanks for watching.